Good morning, everyone. Today we're going to do this little scene from Vermont, beautiful snow scene with a great figure walking up the hill. All right, so we will begin. I'm going to begin in the sky here, mix up a little bit of yellow. Going to keep the sky very bright. So I'm using Windsor yellow with just a drop of raw sienna here mixed into it, just to keep that sky nice and bright. And then that's a little too yellow, so what I'm going to do is just touch the part of it with the towel. Think about the sun coming up over that hill. So that's what I'm doing, wiping out that heavy yellow. So I'm mixing up a background color for that hillside that's in the back over there. You see that behind the houses. So that's ultramarine blue with just a drop of sienna and a little bit of rose. And now I'm adding some cobalt blue to the base of it. If you could see, the base of it's very cool. So I'm adding the cobalt blue on the base of the hill and then mixing that, blending that in with the top of it that we put in earlier. So it's got a nice, not too heavy there. We don't want that value to be too dark because it's off in the distance. So just cutting in around the houses there. And now we'll just blend that all together. So the cool blue will help that, will help bring that down to a nice cool color. Send that right back. Okay? All right, now I'm just mixing up some snow-colored blue here. This is Windsor blue, just a drop of ultramarine blue into it. And I'm going to paint this big shape of all the houses, all the buildings on the left side. They're all in shade. They're backlit against the sun. So paint that shape, and then they're casting a shadow down. I'm throwing some ultramarine in there and then some Windsor blue. Ignore the figure right now. Just go right, the figure's nice and dark, so you don't have to worry about the value of it. I got the shadow of the house, so the shadow's coming down now across the road, dropping some Windsor blue in there. When you're doing snow, you really want a nice combination of blues. You know, use all your blues, ultramarine, cobalt, Windsor blue, you know, whatever you have in your palette you can use here, because there's so much reflective light bouncing around and it's so cool. So I painted out the whole house shape, the shadow of the house, casting it down. I'm throwing some more. What I'm doing here is, you know, I painted that whole shape. I'm letting the color settle, and then I'm throwing some more color on top of it. I added a little drop of rose there to even make it a little more variety. In the blues, you got a violet there, so on the right side. Notice on the right side of the hill, I left that white, and that's going to give us that nice contrast with the shadow on the left, so it really works well. Putting a little bit of shadow on that distant house on the right side. Now I'm going back. This is dry now, so I'm going back with another layer, and you can see that's more ultramarine blue that I'm using here on the house itself. I'm leaving the rooftop the same first value with that Windsor blue in there and all that. This is just a coat on the houses, the buildings themselves. I'm going to bring that right down. Okay. Throwing some more ultramarine in there. you know, if you throw it as the color sets up, you know, and now I switch to the Windsor blue again. This is in the shadow where the houses are casting that shadow, bringing that right down and restating a lot of that shadow color with the Windsor blue. Okay, again, just ignore the figure there. A little bit of spots of white, light shadow coming through there. But I'm going to bring that down and I'm dropping it in, letting it all mix itself. Get a nice spontaneous reflective color there. And throw a little more water on it as it comes to the right side. It gets lighter as it gets away from the buildings and so forth. All right? All right. Lighter as it goes off in the distance. Finally, some a little more shadow. That's the Windsor blue shadow on that distant building. All right. I'm bringing the shadow up onto that right side, just suggesting little pieces of shadow here and there. And now I'm just trying to indicate the curvature of the road with the shadow. Some tire tracks going up the hill. Just using a little darker, maybe a little different blue, violet blue, whatever. Just to indicate a little shadow on the snow in the road. And this little piece on the right side, as it comes towards you, you're going to make it darker. You're going to add some more blue to it, whether it's ultramarine or Windsor or cobalt, whatever. It gets a little bit darker. All right, I'm mixing up that beautiful salmon color that's on the house. So I just used a little of that yellow raw sienna that I had. I put a drop of cad red into it to get that. There's a beautiful warm light hitting that house, and that's what I want to save. And I'm also going to use it on that right side of the snow here. I'm just going to add a little bit in there. When that dries, you'll hardly see it, but it will give that snow a nice tint, and that's what we want. Okay, so you can see how nice that building and the shadow of the building on the road. All right. So I'm mixing up a dark here, just not a black, but a gray, a deep gray, and I'm just going to use that to do the windows and a little more suggestion on the house. I'm not going to get into any colors here. I want to keep that nice, cool shape of the buildings in the shade. I don't need any color. You don't need anything to break that up. It's a beautiful, nice shape. I'm adding these windows, and there's a little shadow under the eave of the building that I'll put in there. But keep it simple, you know, that's what you want. You want to keep that nice and simple. Adding some shadow around the rooftops. And then the side of that building has, you know, as it curves in, has a shadow on it. I'll go over that. But again, I'm not adding any, very, very little color, you know, very little. I want to keep that nice, big, solid shape of the houses. You know, you don't want to break it up with all this detail that you really don't need. Painting around the windows. Again, keep it very simple. The figure is the whole painting here. You really don't, that figure is going to take over everything. So anything we put up here is just going to draw your eye away from that figure. We don't need that. We want to keep that nice and nice and solid. I put a little bit of shadow under the rooftop and just let it bleed down by itself. Paint around the window on the other building. Okay, that's all we need. We don't need much there at all. Okay, just a warm gray. All right, putting in the chimneys, cadmium red with a drop of cobalt blue. Will give it a beautiful, beautiful color for the chimneys. You can add a small one on that house in the back. You can charge this with just a drop of red. So you paint the chimney, and then you're mixing the cobalt blue with the red. Paint the chimney. Then when it's done, go back and just put a little touch of cad red in there, and that will blend itself into that shape you made. All right, there's a spruce tree on the right here. Just mixed up some cobalt blue with a little bit of raw sienna. You can even use the quinacridone sienna, make it a little bit warmer, and just paint that in on the right side, nice and dark. Don't worry about it. Doesn't have to be green. You know it's green, but it doesn't have to be bright green. This is the dark black color that I'm making for the figure. The figure is very dark. Ultramarine blue, a little quin sienna. That will give you that dark color. And I added some Windsor blue to it. So you get that Windsor blue on there. That'll cool it down because it's picking up a lot of reflective light from the snow, and get that right leg is a little longer with the shoe on it, and then we'll put a little bit of shadow underneath that figure. You can see I'm charging it up with the Windsor blue here. Okay, and when that dries, it'll be nice and cool. So there's a nice cool blue to it. All right, little shadow underneath it. And that's really all we don't need much more than that. There's some trees in the back. I'm going to put a tree in there, and that I'm using quinacridone sienna because it's picking up the light from the left side. That might be a little strong, so if you wanted to use raw sienna on the top there. But anyway, just those two trees in the back. Fill that in. I'm not putting the poles in that are in the figure in the photo. All right. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed that. Snow scenes are always a lot of fun. And I will see you again very soon.